Deep inside the darkest caves of France and Indonesia, scientists found something far more disturbing than ancient animal drawings. They uncovered symbols that look like star maps, coded grids, and mathematical spirals that shouldn't exist in a time when humans were supposed to know nothing about astronomy or geometry. And now experts are questioning whether our ancestors were actually far more intelligent than we ever imagined, or if they were trying to send a message to the future, leaving behind mysterious symbols carved so precisely into stone that modern researchers are calling this discovery a direct challenge to everything we believe about human evolution. Long ago, while most people believed ancient humans were barely capable of thinking beyond hunting and staying alive, archaeologists exploring the Lascaux caves in France and the limestone caverns in Sulawesi, Indonesia, discovered something so unexpected that it completely changed how scientists look at early humans, because on the walls they didn't just find drawings of bison, deer, and hands, but also repeated geometric shapes, spirals, and organized lines that seemed to mirror patterns in nature. And what shocked researchers the most was that some of these symbols appear in the exact same formations on opposite sides of the world, carved thousands of years apart, which makes you wonder how such distant tribes created nearly identical symbols without any known connection. And here is the strange part. Some of these patterns resemble precise mathematical designs like the golden ratio spiral or grids used in primitive astronomy. But I'll talk more about that later, because first you need to understand how old these caves actually are. Some of the artwork inside them is estimated to be over 40,000 years old, long before recorded history even began, which means these drawings might be among the earliest examples of human thought ever recorded, and yet they appear far more complex than random doodles. And this is not just a myth or rumor. Scientists have done radiocarbon dating and digital scanning to confirm the age and detail of these carvings. And yet, no one can fully explain how such sophisticated shapes ended up on these walls, even though ancient humans supposedly had no understanding of advanced symbols or structured measurement systems. And this is where the real mystery begins. Because if these drawings are real, and they are, then we might be looking at evidence of early symbolic language or even a primitive form of science. But to fully grasp that, you need to wait until I reveal what one of the scientists found hidden behind a layer of soot on the wall, because that makes the whole story even stranger. And imagine this. A simple line carved deeply into the stone that perfectly aligns with the position of the summer solstice sunrise. Almost like a calendar system carved by a so-called primitive human, which is something I'll explain in the next chapter. But for now, just think about what this means. Were these early cave artists trying to record something important, something beyond simple storytelling? And if so, who taught them? Or were they experimenting with nature in ways we still don't fully understand? And the more you look into it, the more questions rise. Because how could groups that had no written language manage to encode what looks like directional symbols, or perhaps some kind of coded sequence? And here's the part that historians rarely discuss. There are symbols in the Lascaux caves that resemble constellations like Orion and the Pleiades. And that might sound unbelievable, but I will show the connection in the next section, because when researchers connected the dots with 3D scans, they found that some of the markings line up almost perfectly with the placement of stars in the night sky during the ancient ice age. And if that's true, then someone thousands of years ago was mapping the heavens on a cave wall long before telescopes existed. So why would they do that? And what were they trying to preserve? Because if this was just random art, why does it match star charts that we only confirm scientifically in modern times? And that's the real shocker. But hold on, because the most mind-blowing part is what scientists discovered recently using AI enhancement. A cluster of spiral shapes in one part of the cave that match numerical sequences used in modern mathematics. And I'll reveal those numbers in Chapter 2. But right now, just know this. What they found is almost impossible for so-called primitive humans to design without some form of advanced observation or intelligence. And one researcher even said, it's like someone time-traveled and left a message behind. And whether that's true or not, this discovery raises one urgent question we should all think about. Were ancient humans really that primitive, or is there something about our past that modern history has completely ignored? When researchers first entered the mysterious caves of Lascaux in France and later compared them to the ancient caverns in Sulawesi, Indonesia, they expected to find only basic drawings of animals or hunting scenes. But what they found instead changed everything, because on the ceilings and walls, scattered among animals and handprints, were strange clusters of dots and line patterns that looked nothing like simple art. And as they began analyzing these designs more deeply, they realized something shocking. These dots weren't placed randomly. They formed exact configurations of constellation patterns seen in the night sky, especially the famous Orion's belt and the Pleiades. And this startled the scientific community because those caves are over 17,000 to 40,000 years old, which means ancient humans who supposedly had no tools, no astronomy, and no written language somehow mapped the heavens with near-perfect accuracy. And that is where the real mystery begins, because if they were tracking celestial bodies so precisely, then why were these drawings hidden deep inside caves where only a few people could see them, unless it was secret knowledge meant to be protected? And the researchers did not understand how the coordinates of the stars aligned perfectly when they digitally scanned the cave walls and compared them with Ice Age sky charts. And if you think that's just coincidence, let me tell you something even more unbelievable. In multiple caves across different continents, far from each other, humans who never communicated with each other carved the same star patterns in the exact same positions, and some even placed them next to a bull symbol, which in modern astronomy is the Taurus constellation with the Pleiades cluster above it. And this freaked out scientists who at first tried to deny it, but after more studies and astronomical overlays, many experts have publicly admitted that this cannot be random. And here's the catch. Many researchers now believe these early humans were using the stars to mark seasons, migrations, or something even bigger, like a cosmic event or warning. But I'm not going to reveal that warning just yet, because what they found next inside a soot-covered section of the cave will blow your mind. And yes, I will get to that soon in Chapter 3, but stay with me, because what you're about to hear has gone crazy viral online, and people are debating whether ancient humans had some kind of supernatural guidance or outside visitors guiding them. And although that sounds unbelievable, when you look at the geometry, perfectly aligned 3 dots in Orion's belt, repeated 7-dot clusters in the exact position of the Pleiades, you start to realize this is more than art. It feels like a coded message. And imagine this, ancient people sitting under the night sky, not just staring, but recording patterns as if they knew those patterns were important to future generations. And maybe that's why they carved them deep in caves, because they wanted to preserve the knowledge even if everything outside got destroyed. And here's the viral part. Some social media users are sharing overlays showing how these dots match star maps from astronomy apps. And the videos are going millions of views because people can't believe primitive humans could draw the sky with such precision. And here's a detail most people don't know. In one cave, the distance between the carved dots of Orion's belt matches the ratio used in modern astronomy to measure star distance. And that's not something you guess by accident. And some researchers even found evidence of small marks next to the constellations that could represent counting or even a form of measurement. But I'll talk about that shocking numeric connection in the next chapter because it involves an AI program that revealed something mind-blowing hidden behind layers of soot. And one archaeologist said, "This is not random. They were measuring the sky." Which is why this discovery has become so controversial, because it forces us to question whether our ancestors were far more advanced than textbooks claim, or whether they were influenced by something we still can't explain today. And trust me, what they found under the soot layer, I mean the hidden spiral that repeats a mathematical pattern, might be the wildest part of all. So don't miss Chapter 3, because once you hear that hidden coded symbol and the repeating number sequence, you will never look at human history the same way again. In the darkest corner of the cave, where thick layers of black soot had covered a massive section for centuries, the archaeologists carefully scanned the wall using modern digital imaging and AI enhancement software, and what appeared at first as random scratches suddenly transformed into a spiral pattern made of repeating grooves. And when the AI traced it, the shape was nearly identical to the Fibonacci spiral, a mathematical pattern found throughout nature, in hurricanes, galaxies, shells, and even DNA. And the experts were stunned because this pattern wasn't discovered in modern science until much, much later in history. And yet here it was, carved perfectly into stone by ancient hands that were supposedly incapable of higher mathematics. And as the team cleaned more soot, they saw a series of numbers scratched faintly along the edges of the spiral, like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Which is the same sequence used in the Fibonacci series, and almost immediately, one researcher said, this might be the earliest coded mathematical inscription in human history. But what truly terrified them was how this carving was positioned directly underneath a cluster of star symbols from the Pleiades, implying that whoever created this was connecting the heavens and mathematics into one message. And I know this sounds like a conspiracy, but official researchers have already confirmed that these markings are real, and they even compared them with similar carvings found in another cave in Spain, where the same spiral and number-like marks appeared. And that means this was not one isolated creator. This was a pattern shared, repeated, and possibly passed down secretly between ancient people across the world. And this raises a question no one can easily answer. Were our ancestors copying something they saw in nature, or did they receive some kind of knowledge from an unknown source? And before I reveal what some scientists now fear, let me tell you about the viral debate happening online. Some claim these symbols might point to a forgotten civilization that had knowledge of mathematics and astronomy thousands of years before the Egyptians or Sumerians, while others suggest an outside intelligence may have influenced early mankind. And archaeology documentaries have blown up with theories, but even the most skeptical voices agree that these carvings defy everything we were taught in school. And the reason I'm telling you this in the final chapter is because what the AI uncovered next, just below the Fibonacci spiral, was a faint symbol that resembles a circle with two intersecting lines, which some believe is an early form of the phi symbol, representing the golden ratio. And if that's true, then this discovery may prove that ancient humans understood the mathematical harmony of nature long before any formal written system existed. But here's the creepiest part. Nearby, there was a small icon that looks eerily like a comet or celestial body falling from the sky. And some researchers now fear that this could have been a warning or record of a disastrous event. And they think these symbols were not just art, but a coded survival message for the future. And that is why so many people around the world are now demanding that these findings be included in history books, because it challenges everything we think we know about where human knowledge began. But the full answer may still be hidden deeper in these caves, and it might be revealed in the future as more soot is removed and more symbols are scanned. But now, the biggest question is, why were these messages hidden so carefully? And if someone tried to preserve them for the distant future, were they trying to warn us about something that could happen again? So now I need to ask you, do you think our ancestors really had secret knowledge of mathematics and the universe? Or were they guided by something beyond this world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because this mystery is far from over, and your opinion might help us uncover even more truths that history has been hiding from us for thousands of years. After these shocking discoveries in France and Indonesia became public, researchers and explorers started scanning other cave systems around the world using the same digital enhancement methods, and what they found made the mystery grow even deeper, because similar spiral shapes, star-like dot clusters, and strange symbolic markings have now been identified in cave networks in Africa, India, and even the Americas. And none of these ancient cultures were supposed to be connected in any way. Yet somehow, they all seem to use the same type of symbols, the same numerical markings, and the same small spiral engravings that resemble mathematical patterns and star positions. And that is why scientists are starting to believe this may not have been random or regional. It might have been a global pattern, almost like an ancient communication system that spread across the world. And while some experts are excited about this new theory, others are deeply unsettled, because if our ancestors had a shared symbolic language linking math, the stars, and perhaps even future warnings, that means we may have lost an entire chapter of human knowledge. And some researchers now want to create a database of all these carvings to see if they align like a code. But I'll explain their shocking theory in the next part, because what they suspect might change everything. And here's the eerie thing. Many of these caves contain carvings of what look like comets or celestial bodies streaking toward Earth. And in some places, they found drawings showing chaos, animals dying, and what might be floods or fires, as if the people were trying to record a disaster from the sky. And one expert said maybe they knew something was coming and they wrote it down in the only way they could. And just think about that for a second. What if all these symbols are not just art or math, but a message or even a countdown left behind for future humans to decode, warning us about something that happened once and could happen again? And this is the part I will explore in more detail later, because when new cave sites in South Africa and Brazil were scanned, the same Fibonacci-like spirals appeared next to drawings of a round object surrounded by lines that look like a radiating explosion, and that image alone has terrified many viewers online who believe this could be a record of an ancient asteroid impact or even a cycle of cosmic events. But I will tell you more about that shocking possibility in the next chapter, because if this is true, then everything about our history, our safety, and maybe even our future survival might depend on understanding these symbols before it's too late. After exploring all 4 chapters of this unbelievable discovery, from the strange cave drawings to the star-mapped ceilings, from hidden mathematical spirals to global symbols found in different continents, one thing has become incredibly clear. The story of our ancestors is far more complex and mysterious than school books ever told us. And now, we are left wondering whether early humans truly possessed a lost intelligence or were guided by something we still don't understand. Because if these patterns are warnings or messages carried across generations, then we might be the first generation in thousands of years finally capable of decoding them. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. Did ancient humans leave behind a message that could protect us from a future disaster? And will we decode it in time? Tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you want more shocking secrets and hidden truths like this, then like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel, because our journey into ancient mysteries has only just begun. See